I call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order on January 16th, 2018 at 6:47 p.m. I would consider a motion for consideration of claims.
Mr. Chair, I would move for claims to be paid in the amount of $568,013.91. Elon credit card in the amount of $5,526.36. Manual checks in the amount of $140.30. Payroll and liabilities for 1/5/18 in the amount of $200,523.24 for a grand total of $774,203.81.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Do we have anything from the city administrator or from finance director?
I have nothing at this time, sir.
None, thank you.
Okay. 1-minute meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned at 6:48 p.m.
I now call the January 16th, 2018 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Councilmember Godey will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, I'll offer an invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity that we have to serve the city of Riverton as a city council. And pray for insight each evening as we gather, that we might be able to understand the issues that come before us and the concerns of our citizens. And pray for thy Spirit to guide and direct us tonight, and we do it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Would the city clerk please conduct roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Lance Godey.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Mayor John Baker.
I'm present. Chair would entertain a motion to excuse council members Gibbon and Peterson from tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. I declare that we do have a quorum. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda as it's been presented.
Motion to approve the agenda as it has been presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Communications from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that's already on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourselves for the record.
And I would like to,
Get right up to the mic so that the folks at home can hear.
okay.
All right.
You got it. My name is Bridget Garrett, and I'm putting on the chariot races February 17th at 18th on Peterson, on Paradise Valley Road by the motocross, on the motocross. And what I would like to know, at the end of the track, there's a dip, a really big dip in there, and I'd like to know if the city could help, if we could fill it in with dirt. I have Jerry Bornhoff here that's helping, and he's going to be working the track and donating his time there, but I'd just like to know if the city could help us fix the end of the track. We have racers coming in from Jackson Hole, Afton, Saratoga, Casper, Torrington, just all around the state. We're guaranteed at least 20 to 25 teams coming in, which is going to bring money into the city. You know, they stay at the motels, they eat at our restaurants. It's a 2-day event, actually a 3-day event. They come in on Friday, and it's a good time. Y'all should come.
Okay, and so you've been discussing this with Mr. Butterfield?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and do we have any
Your Honor, speaking from Public Works perspective, we're very excited for this. Bridget has been in contact with me for several years trying to get chariot races going again in the city, and I think we're both very excited. This is something that she can get coordinated this year. And as far as city being able to move some field dirt over there, I don't have any problems with that if the council is okay.
Any problems?
Nope.
I don't see any problems.
Great, thank you.
Okay?
Perfect,
Looks like we can make it work.
great.
All right?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
You bet. Consent agenda. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, January 2nd, 2018, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, January 2nd, 2018, executive session. Approval of the minutes, January 9th, 2018, work session, council meeting. Approval of the minutes, January 16th, 2018, finance committee meeting. Approval of the minutes, finance committee recommendations for January 16th, 2018, and approval of the municipal court report for the month of December 2017.
Are there any items that require further discussion?
Your Honor,
Tim?
the recommendation from the Finance Committee is for claims to be paid in the amount of $568,013.91, credit card in the amount of $525,526.36, manual checks in the amount of $140.30, payroll liabilities for January 5th, 2018 in the amount of $200,523.24 for a total of $774,203.81.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve consent.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Your Honor,
Mike?
I would abstain from the Bailey Enterprises and Wex line items on the finance report.
Thank you. Anything else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye and the motion passes. The next item is Planning Commission appointments. Could we get a report from the interim Community Development Director?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is the appointment of Doug Mollick and David Kellner to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term. They're up for reappointment this year because their terms will expire, and both have expressed interest in continuing to serve on the Planning Commission, and we'd like the council's concurrence to have them remain on the Planning Commission.
Thank you. All those, could I get a motion to that effect for Doug Mollick and Dave Kellner to be reappointed to the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Thank you for serving. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. The next thing is a public hearing in consideration of ordinance 18-001, first reading, Wind River Internet Franchise Agreement. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have before you the first reading of ordinance 18-001 with regard to the WRI franchise agreement. At a previous work session, we went over the general topics that are usually covered within said franchise agreements. What you have presented before you largely covers those with a couple notable changes. One has to do with the fee structure, which has an automatic provision for a raise in the fee structure from 4% to 5% at the time at which others have been raised to that general level. That level is recommended as the standard level. If council would like to do something else, that is something we could talk about. However, if those considerations are not made at the time of the initial agreement, it's about 15 years till we get to have the conversation again. As such, as I pointed out, it is a 15-year agreement, or is proposed as such. Additionally, there are some considerations within the fee structure that allow for what are traditionally called pole attachments or use of physical facilities. In this case, if WRI were to allow another company to move through town without providing service, within the city of Riverton. As a provider, then there's a pole attachment fee, in that case of 25% of the revenue. However, if said company comes into Riverton and wants to use their physical facilities, whether it be their conduit or their poles, and are providing services within the city of Riverton, they are only required to have a franchise agreement with the city in order to avoid. One of the good parts of this is it drives competition within the community and provides options for citizens. I'm of the mind that competition is a good thing, and when it can be built in, that's a positive thing. It also allows us the ability to make sure that the franchises necessary are in place and that they don't go unnoticed over a given amount of time. Additionally, because WRI is a tribal entity, there is noted in here a waiver of sovereign immunity that we provided and have worked through with the representative. I would point out that Patrick Lawson, the WRI representative, is in the crowd if you have any questions for them. And otherwise, we have largely covered all of these items in a previous meeting when we discussed the general items associated with these. I would stand for any questions and be happy to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please read ordinance 18-001 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 18-001 on first reading. An ordinance granting a franchise to Northern Arapaho Tribal Industries doing business as Wind River Internet, WRI, to operate and maintain a telecommunications system in the city of Riverton, Wyoming.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Your Honor, I would move that we open the public hearing.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I now declare the public hearing to be open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes and other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourselves for the record. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
Seeing none, Your Honor, I would recommend move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye and the motion passes. And I now declare that the public hearing is closed. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 18-001 on first reading.
I would move that we adopt ordinance number 18-001 on first reading, Your Honor.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Oh, let's have discussion. You want discussion? Go ahead.
I just wanted to know what the speed is of this.
Come on up to the mic, Mr. Lawson. Tell us all about this.
I guess the short of it is we're trying to bring, we've got a number of entities that are needing more bandwidth. So we're bringing in fiber optic cable, 96 pairs. Each one of these pairs could provide over 100 gigabytes of bandwidth with current technology. So for residential, we're talking about gigabit. So if you hear about like Google fiber to the home, that's what we're doing. And for businesses, we can provide the full bandwidth needs that the state's requiring to connect in for the unified network.
So how many customers would you be able to serve?
Depends on the demand. There's really not a limit. With the initial allocation of funding that we have, we're going to be doing only about a dozen to start with, but we're putting the backbone in so that we can expand from there.
Okay.
We currently have about 700 customers on the reservation, and we'll just kind of see how that goes in Riverton.
I can't imagine that I'd need a gig at home.
You'd be surprised. Upload speeds are usually kind of the downfall of current systems. It might have 100 megabytes down, but only 5 up. And the nice thing about this fiber is it's symmetrical, so it can be 100 megs up and 100 megs down, or 1,000 megs up and 1,000 megs down.
Okay.
What's our fee? Can we ask him what our fee structure is?
Do you have a fee structure yet?
We do have a fee structure on windriverinternet.com. And basically, our current wireless services will be using the same pricing, but it'll be 10 times faster for the same price. So
So to find out, we have to go log on to,
yeah. So you'd be looking about $50 for a like 100 meg connection around that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Sounded like he was more interested as a customer than as a city council member.
just want to know.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Thank you, Your
All right, thank you. Okay, it's been moved. Any other discussion, questions or anything? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. Okay, that's pretty good. How about council committee reports and council member roundtable? Mr. Godey, let's start with you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a couple things tonight. First on my list, the Central Wyoming College is developing an economic development plan for ag and ag-related industries, kind of do a study to determine Fremont County's ability to and impact of ag and ag-related areas. They have asked the city for a letter of support that when they're attempting to get grant funding to fund the planning and eventual building of, say, the Ag and Equine and Animal Science Center. So we're kind of in those preliminary stages, but it's very important and helpful when pursuing grant opportunities that they show governmental support. They've also approached the county for the same thing and wanted to see if the council would be willing to authorize city administrator to develop a letter of support to that end. And if so, I would be willing to make a motion to that effect to get that, such a thing.
Okay, sounds like that's been moved. Is there a
I
second?
would so move.
Is there a second?
I would second.
Mike Bailey seconds. Okay. Is there any further discussion on that?
I guess, to me, Your Honor, I would like to see maybe, I know the college president has been making the rounds around town, explaining the details of this, and I guess I would like to hear more about it, so we had a better idea of exactly what they're planning, or at least thinking about planning.
Happen to have a letter from the president, and I'd certainly share this with you to give you, it's got a lot of detail about the planning process and the eventuality of the Ag, Equine, and Animal Sciences complex. But rather than just go and kind of, plan for the building and plan for the complex, they're trying to be much more comprehensive and look at it as an entire county aspect. But I'd be more than happy, and I know he would be more than happy to attend a council meeting to give a little bit more detail on the planning process as well as eventual the Ag, Equine, and Animal Science Center as well. If that is your interest, I know he would do that.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
We already have an equine center on 8th West. Is that going to combine that or transform that or move that or?
The intention, it is way too small and way too, there's no room for expansion. There's no room for really the multi-use complex that's necessary. So the intention would be is to close that and to sell that property to apply towards the purchase of or building of a new complex.
And this new complex will be up at CWC on
already college-owned property.
I understand that, but whereabouts?
The discussion at this point, and really the only place that's available, is north of the housing complex right now, out kind of, what would that be, north and west of the ball field, of the Legion ball field, that large,
Would it be below our water plant?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Where we tend to do the balloon rally there?
No.
No,
North of
that's
there.
the soccer, even north
On
of,
the other side of on the other side of the
Other side
fence.
of that road.
Okay, gotcha.
correct, north
Past
of
the trees there.
Moorfield, north of Moorfield.
This has been going on, this planning process been going on for a while, and I took part in a couple of meetings last year. At that point, they were trying to figure out some way maybe they could partner with the county so that we had a county fairgrounds located next to it, so that some of their, or most of the facilities would have multiple uses. And so I'm not sure that that's worked out the way they kind of thought it would, but nonetheless, that was the hope at the time, was that they could share some of the cost, because they know that there's an interest in moving the fairgrounds and being able to expand it and get more ground. They thought that maybe this would be a twofer, but and then there was a meeting about a month ago, and I was not able to attend that.
I attended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so I think it's pretty interesting, the potential for that. Riverton is agricultural, got a good agricultural base to it, and so it's more than just rodeo. I think there's a good opportunity for some real, crop science, some farming practice, that type of thing, a real ag center as opposed to just a little bit of livestock. So I think that would be a real positive thing for our community. I certainly am supportive of it, so. Any other, so I think, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye. You have a letter ready for us, or you're going to get one, Larry?
I actually pre-drafted a letter, Your Honor,
That's why I thought maybe you had it ready to,
so I have that prepared.
okay, all right. I'll sign it when we get done.
Okay.
All right.
I have a couple other things, Your
Okay,
Honor.
go ahead, Lance.
Just a couple of quick items. The rec center community meeting that had been planned for the 22nd at 6:30 has been moved to Wednesday, the 24th at 6:30. I know it had kind of been going around Facebook. I think we'd mentioned it at least once here in a council meeting. So the meeting scheduled Monday, the 22nd, has been moved to Wednesday, the 24th. Again, just a community meeting to discuss plans as we're moving forward with that effort.
Here in council chambers.
Yes, that's here in council chambers.
Okay,
Another thing, I had the honor and opportunity to participate in the MLK Wyoming Equality Unity Walk yesterday. It was great to see there was a solid 100 residents. I know Lars was there as the mayor. It was really a great opportunity, as cold as it was. It was definitely worthwhile, and I really enjoyed participating in that. And I also had the opportunity to attend the District 25 Rec Board meeting, which was January 8th, where they took in all of the grant requests for that funding. There were 27 requests. I pretty much just attended as the alternate, as both Holly and Sean were there and were able to be our representatives, but it was great to be able to sit and listen to there's quite a variety of requests for funding. Most of them were requests for refunding from existing efforts, but there were a few new ones, and they're planning on meeting on those the February 17th, I believe it was, that they'll meet again as the rec board to kind of take the next step in those requests. I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
okay, thank you. Mr. Hancock, anything for us tonight?
Just, I had received a notice from the Prevention Management, or the Prevention Coalition meeting. There's a data summit that's going to be tomorrow, 11 to 1. It's over lunch, going to be discussing recent information on substance abuse, related consequences, help people better understand what data exists, how to use it, recent trends, substance abuse in Wyoming and Fremont County. So they will be serving lunch as a part of that, so if somebody were wanting to do it, they would appreciate an RSVP. I plan on attending,
Okay.
but I just
I
wanted
will also.
You'll be there too?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
just wanted to make sure the council knew about that, and other people who are interested in the community as well, I think could be very informational in terms of where things are at in the county and in the state right now, so
Okay, good.
that's all I had.
You know, interestingly enough, I had FCAG met last week, and we had a presentation from the director of Fremont Counseling. And one of the little pieces of data that he presented to us is that currently Fremont Counseling is working with 125 IV drug users in Fremont County. That surprises me. So there's, you know,
It's everywhere.
yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah. Okay, Mike, have you got anything?
The only thing I have is that this coming Monday, the 22nd at 5:30, the Riverton Chamber of Commerce is putting on a presentation at the Hampton Inn regarding the North Federal project and the different aspects of what they're going to be doing to help, again, businesses during that time of turmoil that we're going to have while they're rebuilding the highway. So
What time was that, Mike?
5:30,
So that's the 22nd.
22nd, yeah.
Was that at
Hampton Inn.
Hampton?
Okay, well, that's interesting that they're trying to be proactive and deal with the, a little bit with the chaos. And so were you aware of that, Kyle?
Yes, I got a,
Other Kyle?
oh,
Mr. Butterfield?
me.
Mr. Chairman, I was aware of that as well.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Larson, have you got anything for us tonight?
I grew up, people not only couldn't pronounce my name, but it was never pronounced correctly. So when I hear it, I'm thinking like a 2-year-old, that's the only one in the world. My grandchildren have certainly enjoyed the ice skating, and I really appreciate the rec board for putting that up and continuing to keep it in some type of skatable condition. It's appreciated. Thank you. That's
Good,
all I have.
thank you. City Administrator's report?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you to the rest of the council for getting through about half of my report. You're going to save us a little bit of time. A couple additions are that there will be an informational meeting regarding the East Fremont project that's going to be coming up this next summer. That is going to be on the 25th at 6 p.m. in here. There are letters going out to affected property owners, but we wanted you to know about the particular meeting. I would point out that the Eastern Shoshone PUD is finally just about there. We have all the comments back. We've made those changes, so we're looking forward to bringing that to you at this next meeting. There are only two hopefully small items that we have to get through to add to the agreement, to the guidelines, but generally speaking, the guidelines for setbacks and heights and floor area ratio and all of those items have largely been addressed. So we're very happy that that's been done. And I would appreciate, and we're very appreciative of council's consideration of the third-party review. It was very helpful in trying to identify some of those larger items, and we're really happy with the result and the negotiations that we've had with the developer's representative at this point. There is a special airport board meeting. Amy Surdam, who is the Wyoming Aeronautics Administrator, will be here for that meeting. That's Friday, the 19th at 8 a.m. If anybody would like to attend. The liquor license hearing will be the 20th of February, so we'll have all of those at that time. And just a reminder that, as discussed at the last meeting, the goal setting will be the 2 work sessions in February. So we will have 2 work sessions during that time. You will be getting documentation from us. Additionally, I forgot one thing. I have to go back to the top. The PUD documents will be going to council early for your review because they are so long. We didn't want to give them to you 5 days before and say, here, we've been looking at this for 3 months, but we'll see you in 4 days. So you'll have some extra time with those. We would invite comments or questions in advance so we have a little bit of time if we find something that is an issue that we can work with the developer to get it addressed either as an explanation or as a modification prior to its actual publication. That is all I have at this point. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Lance?
Your Honor, Tony, I'm curious, I can't remember the process regarding the liquor license applicants. Do we request that those applicants be present at the council meeting for that?
Councilman, I'd actually defer. I've seen a couple of these processes, but I would defer to our city clerk with regard to how you've done your processes in the past. I wasn't here the last time.
Your Honor, Councilman Godey, it's not a requirement for the applicant to be at the renewal. I do encourage them to come, but it's not required.
I'm of the mind that for a liquor license request is those applicants should be present at that at least once a year, to be present to speak to and be prepared to answer any questions regarding that application. So I don't know if that's a strongly worded request on my part, but I think it's appropriate that they be present for such an event. But
How many licenses do we have?
33, 34. 34.
34? Are there any problems?
They've been submitted to the liquor division, the Wyoming Liquor Division, and we're waiting on their certification. They usually get it to us within 2 weeks, and we sent them in yesterday. So as far as operations, we have not had anyone who has violated any laws.
okay.
Mike?
I guess in the past, I know with home occupation permits, we sort of had people all show up, and it turns into a little bit of a challenging crowd scene, just because you have 36 people show up, we approve them all, they get up and walk back out again. And I guess to me, unless they've had any complaints or they have something they need to bring forward to us, I understand your point, but it ends up just being an exercise of putting 36 people in a room for about 10 minutes and then they walk back out again. And some people see that as a burden. I don't see it as a huge burden, but it ends up just being maneuvering.
Kyle?
What value would that, let's say there's 40, just instead of 30, what value would that be to have the 40 appear before us, knowing fully well that none of them had broken the law, that they were all meeting our standards and guidelines, and it's not their law to recertify their, so what value do you see that we would get in that?
My interest from a prevention perspective and issues regarding alcohol use, improper alcohol use in town, is probably more interested in addressing concerns and problems. If there are none, I probably have less of an issue of having them present. But we're, coming up on or right at a month prior to that meeting. And if now it's 2 weeks before we hear from the Liquor Commission, then they'll have 2 weeks notice that I almost kind of want them to be, if there is a concern, if a concern is issued by the Liquor Commission or by the police department, giving them ample time to understand that if there is a concern, it would be appropriate that you be present because I'm going to be asking questions if there's a concern. So, I think, I'm just trying to give them advance warning, that I think it's appropriate to let them know that if there is a concern, you may be more inclined to be present at the council meeting, or your liquor license may not be immediately approved until you're present to talk about the concerns.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
if we do have those concerns, we do tell them that, and so they would be advised of that throughout the year, as well as you guys would be advised. So that conversation would have already taken place.
Great, that's great.
Have we had when's the last time that we did don't want to say undercover, but I know that this has in years past been something that's been done where you've had compliance checks. When's the last time that's happened with
Your Honor, so we do get funds through a grant through WASCOP to do those, and we do them 3 times a year. The last one was done just a couple months ago, and I can tell you that everybody passes with flying colors.
Can you describe real quick, I guess, so Councilman Godey knows a little bit what goes into that, and maybe so everybody else who's watching knows what's up with those?
So what we do is we'll pick an underage person, and we try to pick somebody who is not 20, that has a full beard. We're not trying to trick anybody. They clearly look like they're 15, 16, 17 years old. We will have 2 officers in an unmarked car outside. We'll send them in with marked bills, and then the officers will immediately go in afterwards if there's an illegal purchase. The person receives a citation, so they're notified immediately of the problem. Then we'll have that same conversation about the liquor license and all that. So then they have to appear in court and all that. So like I said, we do about 3 a year, and if there is issues, which we haven't had for quite some time, you will know about it way ahead of time.
Okay.
And then what about, I know that at least in my other job, we've had, tell me about some of these liquor license holders in terms of serving to people who are obviously intoxicated.
Right, so I can tell you that one's a little bit more difficult because the judge has to approve, if I'm not mistaken, that they are a habitual drunkard. So I can't tell you the last time that we wrote that ticket. Since I've been here, I can't remember the last time that we wrote it, and I've been here since 2000.
So anyway, just some ideas in terms of what goes into them saying we don't have any issues with any of these liquor license holders, I guess.
I can tell you that just from dealing with them, we have a lot of different concerts and, as far as the downtown cruise and things of that nature. We actually work with these bar owners and liquor establishments a lot. And so I can tell you that we have a very good working relationship with them. And if there is issues, like I said, we will talk to them way before this happens. And so they're aware, the Liquor Commission is aware, you guys would be aware. And so it would not be a surprise to anybody.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Tony?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. As I started to mention, we talked about FCAG. That's the Fremont County Association of Governments, and we met in Hudson last week on Thursday and had several presentations, and probably the one that was the most interesting was the presentation from Fremont Counseling. I talked about how many people they employ and what their workload is and that type of thing. And all the data escapes me today. It was quite impressive, the number of people that they are dealing with on a regular basis, and the number of first-time encounters that they have is like 1,000. So a year. And then many of those people are in some kind of program with them for over a long period of time. So it's interesting that we do have such a significant problem in Fremont County with alcohol and drugs, and how difficult it is. And he said that it is interesting to him how it cycles through one drug after another drug after another drug. And so it isn't everything all at the same time, but there seems to be waves of availability maybe, and in the community. So I thought that was fairly interesting. And so any of you that want to attend FCAG and watch what goes on there, it's an opportunity for us to have some interaction with the leadership of the other communities. The county commissioners a while back decided that they weren't going to pay their dues anymore because they weren't getting anything out of it. And I think they've decided maybe they do have a role in it. And it's actually a joint powers board that they've signed up for. So they are thinking maybe they'll be more active in that. Larry Allen is their representative, and we enjoy working with Larry. And he comes to the airport board meetings, and he's a pretty good proponent of joint projects, airport, that type of thing. So he's a good guy to have on there.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
When you say we have 1,000 people cycling through that over a period of a year, was there any figures on, it was all Fremont County, was it, a third from Lander and a third from Hudson and a third from Riverton and a ninth from Shoshone? And
He didn't provide us with that kind of information. Okay, but it was like 1,000 contacts, new contacts. So that's people who just have started into the program. So then they have considerable number that, are ongoing and have been involved for years. So we don't have an exec tonight, right?
No, Your Honor.
Wow, okay. So
Your
anything
Honor,
else?
I was curious how many plan to go to the airport board meeting on Friday? I was a little worried as far as quorum goes.
Is it advertised for a meeting, or? I will not be able to be there.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
advertised as an airport.
so, and Mike will be there.
And I'm going to be there.
I was hoping to be there, and actually I sent an email asking if there were any other members that had been planning on going with that exact concern, so.
Okay,
And I had planned to be there. So
okay. I think we're probably okay, right?
Right now, Your Honor, right now, would it be 1, 2, 3, 4?
It'd be
Out of the
4.
7, that would be the core, that would
That would
make
be
a quorum.
okay, so what do you want to do?
I don't need to go.
I think it's valuable that as many people are there as possible. Okay, so can you run an ad or something?
Yes, Your Honor, we can notice that.
Okay, all right. We'll take care of it. So then,
Prefer to go, I'm just saying in terms of making things easier, I don't need to go, but I'd like to go, so let's do it.
Okay. And
Like-
just in case,
I will-
even if
I will-
Sean and Holly get back and they want to go, we've
got it covered.
Got it
Got it covered, and I wrote a letter to Amy Serdam and told her that I wouldn't be able to make it, but she needed to pay attention to what we're doing here.
Well, but of all the enterprises that we have, that one is most public, most vital, and it helps Mike get back to our meetings on time.
That's right. Okay, all right. So do we have anything else that we need to talk about today? Oh, how about, where are we on the splash pad?
Your Honor, I defer to our Public Works Director.
Okay,
Your Honor, I'm happy to report that Slutton was the highest-ranked company of those that submitted proposals. Right now, staff is working through contract documents with them, and we anticipate bringing a contract to you the first meeting in February for your approval.
Okay, all right. I kind of thought that there was something coming up about that, but I wasn't sure what. Okay,
One last thing.
go ahead, Kyle.
I have heard that I've heard it from several sources, that School District 25 will be closing down the swimming pool to public usage. Has anybody heard or been notified of that?
No,
Okay.
no.
Your Honor, we have not been notified of that.
So if that is in fact true, they haven't noticed us. Okay?
Okay. Well, I've only heard it from 5 reliable sources, so,
It was the 6th you needed.
yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else tonight? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 8:44.
7:44.
Oh, 48.
7:44.
44? 44.
Yeah, they-